So if anyone would like to share where they're tuning in from in the chat, or share the course platform they're using or what their challenge is, please do. It really does help me when I'm working through this to share some of those or understand those things even so that I have the context. I'm dialing in from London, which is where I'm at the moment. And today's webinar is going to talk about how to increase or hopefully double your course landing page conversion. And we've got some really awesome examples of what people are doing and some opportunity for you to ask some questions as well. So yeah, it's nice to see you again, Annie. You've got Kajabi as your platform, which is awesome. And you want to improve conversions and get better at tracking analytics. Great. Portugal there as well, another person in Kajabi. Amazing. Nice to see you here. We do see a lot of people using Kajabi as it's one of the most functional course platforms and community platforms out there. So Sarah, let's move on. Okay, so what I want to start with is why you want to increase your course page conversion. So I suppose that would seem pretty obvious, but it's not necessarily. So I just wanted to share some numbers with you. So what I've seen is that many course pages convert at 1.5% to 2% from visit to a sale. And if we are able to increase conversion to 3.5%, you're going to go from about $5,000 on a $300 course to about 10 grand. If we can increase it to 6%, you're going to get closer to 20,000. So what's interesting about course page conversion is that you're not changing your marketing, you're not changing the number of visits, you're just turning more of those visitors into buyers. And this is why I really enjoy it, because potentially you can make a small number of changes to your course page and you can see a uplift in conversion. Now, it's not going to be as simple as making those quick changes and getting from 1.5 to 6%. I wish it was, because we would all be rich and we wouldn't be on this webinar. We would be spending all the money. But the point here is that quick changes can have a significant impact on conversion. And that's what I'm going to really focus on today, which is how to increase that page conversion so that you don't have to put more effort or more money into your marketing. You will probably do both, but the main thing here is that you are going to get some awesome tips. I'm going to look at some course creator pages and point some things out to you. And you have the opportunity to ask me as many questions as you like about this. So let's move on to the next slide. And I'll just give you a bit of context if you don't know me as to why I'm here roasting landing pages. So I used to run a service called roastmylandingpage.com, and I actually roasted 900 different landing pages. It was a paid offer, and each roast cost $350. So I actually made about $300,000 roasting these landing pages. A roast was a 15-minute video, and it was really focused on the quickest wins to increase conversion. So it wasn't a 6-month cycle of iteration and testing. It was, here's some quick wins that you can implement. And time again, people had missed very obvious things. And I was just pointing them out and watching as the conversion increased. So I retired. I really did enjoy it, but it was a lot of hard work. And now I'm focused on building my own SaaS business, which I am building in public and has just hit 70,000 MRR. So this is just a little bit of context to explain who I am and why I care about landing pages. Again, I just think it's such a fun thing to work on, because if you have a consistent number of visits, you have an upcoming offer and you're going to be pushing it, you can make 5, 6, 7, 8 changes and you will almost certainly see an uplift in conversion. I have seen it hundreds and hundreds of times with my customers, and it was extremely gratifying. So I'm on a mission to teach people how to demonstrate what makes them awesome through their sales page or course page. Next slide. So this is what I was saying just now, is that the simple fixes can actually have a big impact. You don't need to spend more money. So you're not spending more on marketing, or you can once you've got your conversion where it needs to be, and it may unlock new opportunities. But the main thing here is that you can turn the existing number of visitors to your sales pages into more revenue. And you do need to ask visitors, you need to test things, and you need to learn. I can give you ideas today, but you also need to cultivate a culture of just looking at what's going on. And interestingly, what I found is that most course creators don't test at all. They just don't know what is happening. Some do, but in other industries, it's extremely common to constantly test and iterate on pages. So I tried to cultivate this kind of culture of testing in the course creator community. There's some bad news as well, which is on the next slide. So the problem we've got now, and this is also something that I'm just hearing time and time again, is that we're living in a world where buyers are absolutely flooded with offers. We used to be able to send an email, it would get read, it would be a great click-through rate. We used to be able to place an ad on Facebook and it would get people onto webinars. We used to find this relatively easy. We now live in a world where anyone can create a course in seconds. Anyone can create 100 marketing assets in minutes. Everything is just being produced at 10 times the rates, and probably almost certainly not at the quality it used to be, but you are now competing with these people. So buyers are starting to get more cynical. We're in the age of fake news, and it's the situation where even your own audience has an increased level of distrust. So good news is we can improve our landing page, our offer, and how we communicate. Bad news is that it's getting really tough out there to generate revenue, even from your own customer base. Next slide. So I'm going to share some ideas right now, and I'm actually going to show you some of them in person if I can get my screen share to work. But the first thing I wanted to implore everyone to do is to ask people. So of course, some of these are just things you can implement, but the first thing you need to do is just get into a culture of asking. So what does asking mean on a landing page? It means that when someone goes to leave the landing page, you are going to ask them a question about why they didn't decide to buy. So you are going to allow them to give you feedback and use that to improve your landing page. This should be the first thing that you do. There shouldn't be anything else that you do, because I don't know everyone's page, everyone's offer, but I know this is a system to help you to understand your buyers better. So this is called an exit intent survey. The person goes to leave and it will pop up, and you do not need to run this perpetually. People are always worried about asking this. They think it's tacky, but I can tell you from my own experience that I've run these. I run them as a pulse. So I run them for a couple of days or a week. And then I use those insights to start reworking the landing page. So specifically here, what I'm going to do is use those insights to make sure I address the types of things people are unsure about. So if I'm regularly hearing things like, I didn't know who you were. Okay, so we have a problem with how we're communicating who I am as the teacher of the course. If it was, I'll come back, there's something around the urgency. So you're going to look at these answers and you're going to use them to inform changes to your landing page. I'm going to give you a specific example now, which is that with my productized service, Roast My Landing Page, people kept asking the same question, which was, can I share my Figma design? Because they thought I would only roast live websites. It hadn't occurred to me that they would want to know about this. And I immediately updated the copy to make it crystal clear. You, in effect, handle that objection. So you want the landing page to do that work before they leave. The other thing is you can also survey the people that did buy. So this is the reverse. You're going to survey people who did buy, and you're going to look for what was the thing that convinced you, what moved you over the edge, what was the what do you read or hear or see. So we're both optimizing for people who opted out and for people who opted in. I hope that is kind of insightful, because I think there's two lenses through which you want to look at the conversion, and definitely ask people who did buy. One way to ask this is to say, what was your biggest doubt, even though you continued to buy? Like, so what was the thing that was playing on your mind? And an e-commerce example I have of that, so it's not a course, but the lesson applies, is it was a snoring mouthpiece. And what we saw from buyers was they thought it only came in a size that fit men. Like, they thought their mouth was too small. So they bought it anyway, but it did come in multiple sizes. It just wasn't being communicated. So we immediately changed up the language, and you're just removing that objection. What you have to understand is a lot of people who aren't sure, they're just going to leave and not buy. So we're really trying to make sure that they don't have a reason to leave the page. So the first idea there is to just start by asking people. There's lots of tools for this. One's Get Site Control, one is Hotjar. There's various modal and pop-up tools you can use, but if you want to specifically ask me about that, just drop me an email. Let's go on to the next idea. So this is about how you talk about what's included in your course or offer. So something I keep seeing, and I'm laughing, but it's actually a real shame, is that people will craft their course and they'll spend months thinking about how they support it through the community, how they handle questions from their students, what ancillary or supporting documents they give. And then they'll just mention on the landing page, like, it will say something like, join my course and get access to my resources. You need to be much more specific. What are these sources? What are these resources? So in this case, this person has said 30 hours of premium video content updated weekly. This is a much richer way to talk about the resources that are made available. Community with a screenshot from the community. So be extremely vivid, be really thorough in how you articulate it. Don't give tens of thousands of value for a few $100s and not mention these other aspects. And this is something I just see over and over. And it's actually kind of frustrating, because often when I talk to creators, they're talking to me about how much time they're spending on these other aspects of helping their customers or their students get through the transformation, but it's not on their landing page, sales page. So get it on your sales page, and make sure that you're making more money for the hard work that you're putting into crafting the offer. Next slide. So the section that you will see on almost all landing pages, but particularly on the core sales page, is an intro to who the creator is. You want to build credibility by sharing your story, obviously. That's going to be centering you in your page a little bit. The reason I say a little bit is it doesn't want to be so centered on you that it doesn't feel like it's also talking to the visitor, but you do have to prove that you know what you're talking about. Traditionally, you're going to mention your experience. You're going to talk about some of your career milestones. And what you'll see on a lot of these these pages even, is the person talking about having that transformation themselves. So sharing how they went from A to B and now paying it forward and sharing that. So you want to craft this in a really intentional way. Focus on things that speak to the visitor, are interesting to the visitor, but also twist it a little bit to make sure they understand that that is something that is attainable for them as well. It's not really like just a long list of like, I'm amazing. It does need to recenter around the visitor. I actually also, the examples I've shown so far, I do have the pages ready to go through with you because I'd like to point more things, but let me get through the ideas first. And like I said, I'll also be happy to look at people's pages. So let's go on to idea 4. So the situation I talked about earlier is that we're starting to move into this age of distrust and fake news, and everything is just made up. People can generate fake video avatars, they can share lead magnets about experiences they've never actually had. What they can't do is capture real customer stories. So we're going to use testimonials and customer stories to center our customers in our marketing. So the thing is that visitors are super inundated. They have 5 different ways of learning, 10, 15, 20 even. And your job is to build trust and prove why you're the best fit. So don't just put 1 or 2 testimonials on your page, spread them throughout your page to build the credibility. The richer they are, the better. So we're trying to avoid "it was cool," and we're going to try and get language more like more specific again. So we're going to say, I had this outcome, or I was worried about this, but then this happened. So how do you get better testimonials from students? You have to ask better questions. So you don't ask for a testimonial. You ask, what outcome have you received? You ask, how are you feeling before you started my course or found my offer? What emotionally? So you play into that. How do you feel now? Have you had any specific results? What section did you most enjoy? What would you tell people who are unsure about my course? So you're going to speak to so many different sort of objections and drive as much desire through using your customer stories. And this just lives so beautifully on landing pages when your competitors can't do this. They don't have these real stories. They don't have these real results. So build trust using proof. If anyone's got questions as we're going through, do feel free to ask them, but there'll be plenty of time at the end too. But let's move on to the 5th idea. So this one I really enjoyed and was actually from someone who submitted to attend. And this is the build pain. Sorry, the copy on this is wrong. So let me just clarify. Let me go again on this. So this idea actually is the show not tell idea. So this is about unlocking access to part of your course or your offer. And it is show not tell in a similar way to the point I made about really capturing the essence. But in this case, you're giving away something for free, or you're unlocking a lesson, or you're just making sure that people can feel it. So give them a worksheet, give them a clip from a cohort call that you've had with your students, unlock a lesson, just let them feel the experience of being taught by you. I'm sure that most educators in this situation have really thought about how they present themselves, the energy they give off. Let people experience that as part of discovering you. Is there another idea, Sarah? Let's try, because there was one more. Okay, let's go back a minute. So a 6th idea that I managed to miss out is building pain. So this is something that is a traditional marketing and copywriting technique. What we're doing here is we're capturing the frustration of not having the transformation. So let's say the transformation, here's a really lovely one that I've seen. It's a community called Joyfully Dressed, and it encourages women to be more adventurous in their style and support each other. So they share their outfits and people build each other up. So it's a really beautiful thing. And what you would do for a community like this is you want to speak to the frustration or the fears that the potential community member in this case is feeling. So do you ever feel that you're not dressing in line with your personality? Are you worried about being bold, even though you know you're awesome? So what I love about this type of thing is you're not manipulating the visitor, but you're just reminding them that they're in the before of the transformation. So use emotional language, play with it, and get them ready to act. So this is a copywriting technique, which is traditionally called pain agitate solution, PAS. You're going to tell them they have this pain or remind them you're not creating a pain that doesn't exist. You're going to agitate it, and then you're going to present your solution. In this case, it's the course or community or whatever your offer is, as the solution. And that is a really smart technique. Again, I think it's really important if you are spending a lot of time crafting an amazing offer, that you do spend the time crafting the landing page to reflect that. So before we go into questions, I also wanted to share some landing pages that I screen grabbed here, but go through a few other things and just point out some highlights. I don't know if anyone would find that useful, but I think it could be a good way to look at how leading creators are pitching their offers. So let me just move over. Sorry, let me share my screen first. So can I start with this one? Tell me if you can see this.
Yep, we can see it, Olly.
Awesome, thank you. So this is not a course, but this person produces courses, portfolio critiques, so productized service and various other things. And what we've got here is a really beautiful landing page, honestly. So let me just talk through some of the things I like. This is called UX Playbook. So we start immediately by centering some of our customers here. This is a type of testimonial where you've got the customer avatar. And I really enjoy this because it's showing the face of the people. It's just centering them in there. Get a personalized workshop on your UX career. I've shown over 100 designers. And so you're using a type of credibility or proof, again, 100, how to unblock themselves to get career clarity. This language, can you feel the sort of pain, like unblock career clarity? It's slightly emotional. The other thing is your call to action here. So I'm rinsing into this page for you folks, but I think you'll find it useful. This is a really high contrast, massive call to action. It's very clear what you need to do here, which is click. It's some of the pages I looked at earlier that were submitted. I noticed they were using like a yellow button on a white background, and it wasn't obvious what you needed to do. It needs to be idiot proof. Also the use of your, so it's speaking directly to the visitor, get your questions answered is quite nice. We've got more customer stories here embedded in the page. And then what we have here is a very specific, this is what you get. So this is the specific language I talk about. It's 2 hours. It's scheduled within 48 hours. It's a private workshop. It has this, it has that. So what I like about this is just the clarity over what you're getting. And there's also what I call a risk reversal. So basically a objection handler or a guarantee, let's say. So no takeaways, I will refund you. Now, one thing you can do is look through to your refund T's and C's, because I think if people are curious about that, you might want to enrich that. But it also talks to who Chris actually works with. So this is who I can help. So you're going to see who you are on the page. You're more likely to say, yeah, this is for me, and move through. More customer stories built into the page, which is awesome. Again, this person has really centered the customers, or in this case, students or buyers, in that page. Lots of show, not tell. So there's Chris being centered in the page as well. We have the pain language. You were recently let go and unemployed, but you're ready to take your best self into the job market. You're nervous, you're feeling stuck. We can hear the pain language, and it tends to be emotional. So you tend to use kind of very flowery, emotional adjectives to get that person kind of, yeah, that is me. And then here's your offer. So I really enjoyed this page, and I wanted to share that with you folks. Any questions about this page at all, or anything that I've said so far, please do put them in the chat. And let me do one more page and then we'll move on to questions. So this is one from a person called Alex. What I like about this, and he has shared online, this is a very high converting course page. So I was very curious about this page because he was sharing the results. So again, centering the customers. And then what you're talking about is, or what we have here is a headline that's focused on outcomes. So build your brand, grow your business. So we're not necessarily saying it's a course and it's this, it's starting with some sort of benefits or outcomes or transformation, whatever you want to consider this language. And then the next thing is a video with a moving thumbnail. So it's really going to drive more clicks. So why I'm saying this is because if you use a basic thumbnail, the video play rates can often be 2, 5, 6, 8%. If you have something animated like this, it can be 12, 15, 20%. You want people to watch the video. It's much more likely they're going to buy if they know who you are and get a sense of your energy. Why I'm sharing this is because people do not test their video thumbnails. You have to test them. Not just the page, the thumbnail. This is the who's it for language. And this is a interesting thing because it's basically crafting a who it is and isn't for, which just gives it a very kind of, this is for you energy. Of course, most people are going to fall into this, but it's a good way of kind of highlighting your USPs, highlighting what you do uniquely in your course that may not be available with from your competitors, or may not be available by listening to podcasts or getting lessons off of YouTube or whatever else the buyer may be doing. So that was another one I really enjoyed, and that's the one where I pulled the breakdown of the program. So I really enjoyed just the fact that it was screen grabbed, it felt very real. This is actually something I really enjoyed. It's just inside and it's rich. And again, more success stories, you get the idea. So let's go back to the presentation. I've got one more slide. Sarah, do you mind loading that one up? Thank you. We're doing really well as this team of like two-person team. Like
We're so
like
good at co-hosting webinars. Listen, no one can top us.
We're very new to doing these webinars, so do bear with us. But I think you only learn by doing them, right? So I have a tool called Senja. You probably know it because we've invited the users of Senja. Senja lets you collect video and text testimonials from students. You can keep all of these customer stories, all of this proof in one place. You can share them as ads. You can share them as social posts. You can share them as widgets. There is a code if you're a new customer and you want to try it out. You can use Olly webinar. You can get 2 months for $1. There's also the opportunity to be an affiliate. So if you're talking to other course creators, you can actually share Senja with them and you will get a kickback. Sarah, I hope you enjoy that because Sarah's working on the affiliate scheme. So if you'd like to try, if you'd like to try it out, please use it and give it a go. But what I wanted to say here is that the concept behind Senja is not just collect a couple of testimonials and be done. It's really about getting all of these stories that prove that your course or your offer, your newsletter, or whatever your product is the right one for the visitor. And that's what I wanted to share. So let's go on to questions. There's a final slide, I think, that just says, yeah. Okay, so Annie was asking about the tool names. So one of them is Hotjar. it's hotjar.com. And another one which I like, it's a really nice looking product called Get Site Control. So I'm going to type it here, but getsitecontrol.com. So these are pop-ups that you can trigger. You can put them live for a day. You can put them live for 3 weeks. So in other words, you can choose when they go live and when they come down, and then you're just going to go through the results and you're going to mine those results for changes to the landing page. Probably in an upcoming webinar, I might dive a bit more into that, like specifically questions to ask. Again, I am a real person. If you reach out to me on support or Olly app, I will send you some questions that you can ask. Yeah, so Tommy, I have a newsletter, but no real product yet. What are your thoughts on the CTA being a traditional lead magnet versus a newsletter sign up? Yeah, that's an interesting one, because I would probably say to test. So what you're saying is you're driving people to a page and you're not sure if you should use the lead magnet as a way to incentivize sign up or just the newsletter itself. Traditionally, we're going to start maybe with the newsletter, and you can use the lead magnet later to drive more engagement. So maybe you can bring that in later and enrich that customer by pitching the lead magnet. But I think a lot of people use lead magnets as the way to drive signups. So I would definitely play around with it and test. But what I would make sure that I'm doing is that once they've got the lead magnet, that I'm following up and giving them more advice on how to use it and continuing to talk to them. And the main thing is to build that relationship to be useful and keep going. Is it spammy to ask for testimonials in each newsletter? I think that what you want to do in a newsletter is wait until there is something that indicates some enjoyment of the newsletter. So you can, with Senja, for example, we have a trigger. So you can trigger a testimonial request at the point where the customer or the subscriber in that case has read 3 editions or has clicked 5 links. So you're going to use the triggers inside your ESP, your email tool, and then you'll automate a request and Senja will send a form and it will keep following up. As well as that, I should mention that the other thing is, if you get to a point where you're pitching this lead magnet and pitching your offer in your newsletter, use those testimonials to drive people from the newsletter. So the idea is that when you announce your new offer, your new product, whatever it may be, have relevant testimonials. So when you get to a situation in which you have multiple courses and offers, coaching, courses, cohorts, communities, you want to use the relevant testimonial for each subscriber and for each offer to support driving visits from it. So this is actually really cool because it helps people do this. Yes, Annie, I am going to I will roast the sales page live. If anyone wants to share their link, I'll take a look and go through it. Yes, if you don't have proof yet. So this is a really difficult one because you're trying to stand out. So traditionally, the concept here is to get more into the showing. So let me actually experience it. You can use reduced pricing. So what you're going to do with the reduced pricing is you're going to basically ask for a testimonial, really make sure you're collecting those testimonials, or maybe start work by asking for feedback, because and again, our forms are based on asking for feedback, and if they give good feedback, you ask for a testimonial, because it can be a bit presumptuous to just demand a testimonial. The main point is it's harder. So what you also want to do is get more into that sharing who you are and why you can be trusted. And I probably would look for other creators in this space, ask them if they'd be willing to try it or recommend it. But it is more difficult. 0 to 1 is going to be more difficult. As soon as you've got people through there, make sure you've got a form for collecting that proof built in and start doing that. If you're unable to collect them because there's some resistance, use rewards, some discounts or codes. Right, so I have a URL here for a roasting. It's been a while. Okay. Let me share my screen. This is Mindful You, is that correct? Or Institute?
That's it.
Okay,
Thanks.
great. No worries. We help masters and doctoral level clinicians expand their free time income. Okay, so I'm just going to go for it, by the way. So,
Go for it.
yeah. So I really enjoy that you're calling out who it is. I have never been a fan of this scrolling text thing because it basically says to the visitor, like, sit and wait and read this. And that's not traditionally how we see people look at landing pages. We tend to see them scan the page very quickly.
Okay.
So they tend to go like this, up and down. So they're not in your mind, they might sit here and go, okay, help with my operations, help with their income. No, they're going to scan. So that's something to consider.
Okay.
This is okay. I probably would recommend not starting with who you are in this section. So this language so transform your practice through assessment is great, but I feel like you want to center the first set of copy on the visitor over the brand. I think this is a show not tell of some of the different things we get access to, but maybe it's just a little bit kind of cramped in here. Potentially you can use annotations on these images to show what I'm looking at. Or potentially you're just introducing this too soon and it needs more room to breathe. I think what you're trying to articulate here is there's like multiple aspects to this offer. But it's just like a composite image and it's a bit overwhelming. What I would consider doing, and you may have done this further down, this is the problem with the live row, so I don't get to see everything, but you might further down have that much bigger, and you might use annotations or bullets below it just to clarify, like we talked about the core aspect. So you can pair, that is a great visual, but pair it with, what I showed you earlier, the multiple parts of it. This is cool. This is basically the pain building in kind of a soft way. I think you could actually go a bit harder with this type of language. It's like you might feel like you've been working too many hours, you're frazzled, you're not spending time with your family. There is an ethical line. I like to do things with high integrity. So you don't want to be, we're not hard pitching here, but you might want to just embellish this a little bit more. Okay. But I do like what you're doing here, which is moving them through. I think there's a lot of exposition and not a lot of specificity over what the offers are. So traditionally, you might just see we are a course, we are a community, or we're a bundle of all of these things. And you're using language like explore our offerings and then moving into who we are. I think it might be worth just at the top being more specific about exactly what it is. You just don't want any ambiguity early on because they want to move through the page. You don't need to get into the specifics, but I think, you want that simplicity. Let's have a look. Okay, nice. Yeah. So definitely within these, I guess these are different courses I can go through and I should be able to try a lesson. Or experience something, maybe join a trial, something that just lets me, like I say, feel and experience the nature of it. This looks really cool. You're building trust here through where you've been featured. Okay, yeah. So this is a credibility building thing. I would say the UX is a little bit like it's quite hard to follow.
Right there.
It could be a little bit tidied up just to really give it some structure, but I actually think it's a great page. This is awesome. Maybe highlight we always recommend highlights in testimonials to make them easier to scan. So you're going to look for a sentence that really focuses on an outcome or really focuses on something emotional, just to have more time to scan it. Then maybe with some of these where they're longer, you could even click through and see something that's more like a case study, something that's a bit richer. So you're just pulling the highlight and then I can click it and see more. That is actually a widget we have on Senja. So what we do in this widget is you would see the testimonial, but if you click the customer, you see the full testimonial. It just allows them to sort of engage with it more meaningfully. But you don't need to use Senja. You can build this out yourself, although it's free, so why not? Nice high contrast call to action. I really enjoy that. It's really good to repeat the call to action at the end if you have, because basically people will just scroll and then they'll just sort of get stuck there. So often it's just a footer. So what does this go to? I see. Okay. Yeah, I just want to balance like the level of granularity with like the simplicity of just like, we help these people with these things with this type of offer. So stripping some of this back might be useful. However, take everything I said with a grain of salt. I think most of it you'll think, oh, maybe, maybe not. But the survey will be very powerful here. So understanding people who visited and didn't actually explore the offers, people who explored the offers but didn't sign up or inquire, and people who did buy.
Perfect.
Awesome. All right. If you've got any more questions, you can also email me and I'll try and help. I'm going to try and do another one.
Thanks so much.
No worries. Yeah. I won't be able to do everyone's, but again, if you email me, I will get from, because we're constantly sharing this. Let me share the screen on this one. So baby sleep team. So look, we've got some social proof right here. This is relevant to the previous person. Traditionally, you're going to put the call to action up here as well. And it's going, if you can, to be locked, right? So it's always available as I move through the page. I can always click enroll. So if I'm here, I decide to enroll, I can click it. So this is really good. Go from tired and overwhelmed to confident and enjoying newborn snuggles. I love it. It's a transformation-based headline. Okay, this is interesting language. The without language is where they've been told or tried different things, and you're basically reminding them like, we aren't looking at it in this style. I enjoy this type of thing. It's what I would sometimes call like USP if we're talking about SaaS, but what makes it unique, it's like, okay, we're going to make sure that you're not doing this technique you've heard about, or you're not stuck on Google, or you're not listening to podcasts. I would consider the enroll color. Honestly, I would try something richer and really clearly a button to click. We have the Happy Family Guarantee. Can I click through and see what that looks like more specifically? The reason I would suggest that is simply because everyone's got a guarantee now, right? So you want to have the specificity. This person is a Senja customer, thank you so much, and is really centering their customers in the page. Oh, nice. Yes, even here. So this is really great use of highlights, video. What I would recommend is that if you've done a good job collecting text testimonials, start to move to collecting more video. We're really supporting the ability to remix these videos now, so you can share them as Facebook ads, you can share them on Instagram, you can share them wherever you're marketing yourself. Okay, so we have a two-tier offer. So there's lots of aspects, obviously, to a landing page. The more I'm roasting, the more I'm like, I could have probably done 50 tips. But traditionally, we have one that we want them to do. This is why it's visually bigger. And this is the bundle. And then we have the sort of taster, but we are prioritizing the offer we prefer. Sometimes I see something like most popular. Another option there is to say best for. Which is kind of what this is for the parent who wants to be ready for all the sleep stages. Love it. Love it. The other thing to do here is in the car, obviously, you do the upsell too. So it's like, do you want that peace of mind, not just for the next 3 months, but all the way through to 18 months? This is a really good page as well. Here we go. So here's the introduction from the creator, I presume, if you want to. Yeah, just make this slightly more like, who are you? So funnily enough, in the one I shared, this person had done a lot of who they were, and it felt maybe a little bit too centered on them. In this, you've used a really amazing language to really focus on the visitor. This is how you feel, this is what's going on. But maybe just a quick note on who you are and a little bit of like some of what you've your accomplishments, your achievements in this context. Okay, this is almost like dialing back in. I love the use of the enroll throughout. That is a very good tip. Keep putting the enroll. You don't want them having to move up the page to find it, basically. Yeah, more student stuff. This is brilliant. And then going deeper. So this explains a little bit about anatomy, because often when you see those anatomy to course pages, people are like, first you have a hero, then you have a pain, then you have, it's not like that. You kind of are sort of slicing and dicing richer and deeper and shallower throughout. So if I'm still on the page, I'm now getting more and more details because I'm probably considering it, but have some objections. So I really like this. And more testimonials. So really threaded through. Wow. So the only downside of the longer page, here we go. So this is the personal intro, which is awesome. The only downside of the longer page is it is harder to manage. If you make a change to your offer, your pricing, you're going through it, you're changing up lots of different things. So sometimes I have encouraged people to test a shorter page, but generally this is more in the sales letter style. One final thing that's quite interesting to look at is what people look at on the frequently asked questions. This sounds very odd. Why do I care? Because if lots of people are clicking the same thing on frequently asked questions, it means your page has not done a very good job in articulating it. Another example of that is to look at the sales inquiries, so pre-sales. Does your program cover this? Does it cover that? And that's I just love doing that, because you can literally change your landing page and never hear from those people again. They just go straight through to buy. So I really enjoy that. Okay, how much time have we got? I'm going to try and do one more. And again, please do reach out if you have any more questions. Annie, was that your one that I just did, the baby one? Okay, cool. So I think if that's your client, they have many, another Senja user. So they have many video testimonials. Maybe it's a different one, but definitely get to the video. I think in this situation, when you've got a, that kind of highly emotional type of product, or it solves a very a personal and emotional thing, the more human those videos are, the better. Okay, so this is an interesting one, because this is right. Roasty Olly's coming out, just so you know. But the issue with a page like this is it lives within a website where it's. I think there's potentially like limits on how it can be articulated. So maybe I've navigated to this through a navigation, but I treat each page as almost like its own entity. Yes, there is a funnel, but what I'm trying to get to here is this is just too sparse and just doesn't say who it's for and what it is. So there are some nice ideas here, actually. I like the use of the proof, obviously. I like the use of the call to action here and the covering of the topics down here, but it just feels like I'm in the middle of a broader website, and we want to optimize as though the visitors just landed there. Maybe they've read something further up the funnel, but they've landed there, and we need to restate, right? This is a training course for these types of people, and this is what they get out of it. How to be nice. So I used to be pretty, blunt with these roasts, but try and avoid this this language of embark on a captivating and enlightening journey. Just use plainer language that articulates these things more clearly. Okay, this is a nice use of Senja. Sorry, has my sound gone?
No, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, awesome. So this is actually a really good use of Senja, and you've got a lot of videos here, whoever this is, and we can use these throughout the funnel. So you're not just going to put them here, but actually put them into your marketing funnel, these stories. Okay, and then a request more information. So with the request more information, I would probably reduce the number of fields. I get a sense this is more like corporate training, and it's a little bit more enterprisey. So it may not have some of the character of some of these other pages, but I still would get these fundamentals in. I would try and humanize it a bit. Who am I requesting on information from? Maybe put a face of that person there. Just make it feel a bit more concierge, especially if you're doing multiple of these. So this isn't going to be cheap. Presumably, this is probably a more high ticket. feels like it might be something where there's a qualification or there's like an industry requirement, it sort of has that tone, but maybe just humanize this aspect here and consider fewer fields. I would also make sure, I'm not going to fill this in now, but I'd make sure that it redirects to, you can send it to a wall of love, for example. What you're trying to build is keep more trust in that funnel before you even get back to them. So it's not just this point here, but also the moment they redirect, what you say there, what happens on the emails. I love how you've centered the customer. Is a bit of friction between the language that feels a little bit enterprisey and a bit almost like not specific enough in some ways, and then the real human stuff. So what I would say to that is maybe review the testimonials and use the testimonial language to help you write the landing page. So use the language they've used. So this person says what a professional does first and picked up little tips. It's like experience by being or working alongside a professional firsthand. So this is you're a Senja customer, I believe. So there is testimonial analysis in there. It will go through all of these testimonials, and it's going to tell you the things people really love. And what's cool about that is we are going to use that language to rewrite this landing page to really resonate with visitors. So yeah, that's the roasting. And if anyone didn't get roasted, I'm sorry. I do try and get a lot in. Last time I went for about 5 hours and I had to have like a 6-week lie down afterwards. So what I would suggest is if you weren't included today, please just drop me an email. We definitely like to point out the quick wins that you can do. As you can tell, I really enjoy it. I hope that was useful. Sarah, any closing thoughts at all?
I don't think so. I think this was a great webinar. And of course, yeah, like any
Thanks.
questions you guys have, definitely reach out. But also like make sure to take like a before picture of your sales page and then an after of anything that you implement. So you can really like track what the difference is as you implement. So awesome. Thanks, Annie. Thanks, Jonathan. Oh, and then
Thank you.
also final note too, we are recording this, guys. So as soon as it processes, we'll make sure to get the recording out to you.
Yeah, we record all of them. And if you've got any questions, just let me know and we'll try and, as we work through these webinars, we'll take those to improve them each time. I really appreciate everyone showing up and I really appreciate the opportunity to get my roasting hat back on. And I do love doing it, as you can probably tell. So thank you so much and we'll catch up with you at the next one.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Let me get this stopped. All right.